Titans GM Ran Carthon joins us now on 104.5 The Zone. Very kind to take some time out of his schedule. What's going on, boss man?
Not much. They not like us, huh?
Something like that. I mean,
great way to kick it in to start it.
You picking sides in the beef? What do you got?
Nah, I keep those to myself, but I was in tune.
So obviously, a lot of things going on. I hate to even have you call in because I'm sure your phone line has been red hot over the course of the last couple of weeks. But with this process for you guys, not just you, but for your staff, I wonder if you can give the audience a little bit of insight into how the delegation of labor works between you, between Anthony Robinson, Chad Brinker, his involvement, and how you guys went about this particular roster cut.
So, the way we go about it starts with our preseason scouting, which is headed by our director of pro scouting, Brian Gardner, and our assistant pro director, Kevin Turks. And those guys and their staff, they split up the league, and, we watch what we call the bottom of the roster for, every team. And, we have our guys kind of tell us who do they like, who would they recommend for our roster. In various roles, whether it's on our active, whether it's a player we'd like to try out, a guy we'd like on the practice squad, and then once we get those recommendations in, then we all go in the room. We lock ourselves in the draft room over the course of a 3-day period, which was the week leading up to the New Orleans game, and we watch every single player. Probably came out to a little over 150 guys. We watch every single player at every single position. Give them I guess, for lack of a better way to put it, a label, put them in a category and stack them and rank them. And when the waiver comes out, we just, we wait for those guys to come available, and then we make decisions from there. And then just in terms of the cut down, it's a continual process, between myself and, Callie and both of our staffs. And, we come to a final agreement about how we see the roster, positions where we want to go heavy or light, and that's it's questions and conversations with everybody. And, we come to a decision. So, even coming up into, the last game, after the last game, it was a couple conversations the morning of, cut down, which, we still had to work through. And, again, as you guys have seen, we've been very busy, over those couple of days. So those weren't just rush decisions, things that just popped up. Those are things that we were well aware of and well prepared for.
Well, I mean, you have to be. You said you get an hour to submit the waivers on the waiver claim process. That's correct?
Well, once you claim someone, like when we claimed Ali Gay and Julius Wood, we had an hour to release two people to make the corresponding move. So that was the hour change. So we had to, play with some things and kind of, move some things around and to still allow us to get guys back that we want to have around here.
Well, certainly a lot of movement on the roster. In particular, a handful of trades. You guys acquire Ernest Jones from the Rams. I know he was out there and available yesterday for media to catch up with him for a little bit, and then guys on the practice field right now, if I'm not mistaken. But
yeah, literally just got off.
Okay. Well, were you out there taking in practice for a period of time? Anything you want to share?
Practice was good. It was hot.
But buddy, it's been that for 2 months. Practice was good and it's hot.
No, it was particularly hot today, I tell you that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I was still playing if I could have made it through today.
It's the Middle Tennessee heat is no joke, and you guys have a lot of noon games on your schedule, so guys are going to have to get used to that in short order. But the movement on the roster, let's start with Ernest Jones. I was joking on Twitter about this the other day. Denard's just going to blitz the holy hell out of people this year, huh?
Man, look, you got two heavy dudes in there, and him and K9 that know how to get to the quarterback, from a blitzing perspective. Ernest was, that conversation, started with, myself, Les Snead, and Tony Pastors. Both of those guys, Les I worked with for 9 years, and Tony I worked with for 5 years. So, obviously we have the relationship there. And, Ernest is someone that they held in high regard, but they, found themselves at an impasse. And, they were looking for a home for him. They wanted to do right by the kid. And, we had those conversations over the course of a few days. And so that's kind of, how it ended. again, I know there were some questions about, whether he was healthy or wanted a new contract and all those different things, so we were able to have, conversations with his representation, which I'll keep between us. But I know we're at a really good place with him. I know he's excited about the opportunity. He's a South Georgia guy. He and his wife have been together since high school. He went to South Carolina, so being here in Nashville helps him get closer to home, closer to family. He's a new father, so I'm sure being back in this area will really help him and help free up his mind. But it was just an opportunity that we couldn't pass up to get some depth there at that inside linebacker position.
So those conversations were, because it was a pretty short window, at least from when media found out that he was going to be available via trade or potentially available via trade. So you guys were having those conversations prior to, for example, Chance Campbell's injury.
Yeah, we had those conversations then, so they were already started. And it's not like, it's so unfortunate what happened to Chance with the great offseason he was having. And it's not like they picked up any more, after that. So it was just a conversation that we had that we were aware of. And again, I worked with those guys for a ton of years. And so, I know how those guys operate. And, we were always open and transparent with each other about everything that was going on. And so we were put in a position where we felt comfortable making a move, so we did.
Titans general manager Ran Carthon here with us on 104.5 The Zone.
So, Ran, you said you guys got into that room a few days before the preseason finale in New Orleans. How much weight did you assign to that game against the Saints? And ultimately, what performances there on Sunday had a big impact in your decision-making this week and earned themselves a spot maybe just by what they did in that game?
Yeah, I mean, for everybody, it's another opportunity for us to evaluate, and you got to take it into consideration. We always go back back when they had 4 games. We would still go back and watch the 4th preseason game on some guys, because back then, guys, some guys wouldn't play until that 4th game. So it's the same thing now with 3. Some guys you may not have seen until the 3rd game, whether that's on our roster or other rosters. So we still had time to go back, and that's why we do our process the way we do it, and it gives us time to where, what we call like a scramble. If we got a scramble towards the end, a guy that's coming free that we weren't aware of, or a player that we hadn't seen through the first 2 games, we get to see him for the 3rd. We have time, and we're not like rushing ourselves. So, like I said, I commend our staff. Brian Gardner, Kevin Turks, Anthony Robinson, A.J. Highsmith, and all of our area college scouts, and even our young bucks, Kalen Reed and Keenan Agnew and Corey Cooper and Michael Johnson. Everybody took part in this process, and I think we did a really good job of being able to add to this roster.
You mentioned A.J. Highsmith and a variety of different names there, obviously, on the staff, and this is a staff that you guys had put back together or added a lot of pieces and parts to prior to this process going down. How have you liked the way that everything's flowed and the distribution of labor, essentially, with all the new people that you've put in different spots that you've brought into the organization, and also the promotions, because you guys did promote a handful of people?
Yeah, no, it's been great. I think everyone here understands their role and where they fit in. It's an open line of communication between everybody, and it's been going really, really well. It's a part of our off-season overhaul. We talk about the players, and I think I've said this a few times, like the players and the way we've improved this roster, with the players is evident, but I think it's a continuation of improving our organization as a whole. It started with the coaching staff. It started with, first Callie, being able to get him and then the staff he put together to come in, and then it rolled into the players. And then for us in personnel, most of our changes come post-May. So, being able to promote a couple guys, like Dale Thompson and, adding an A.J. Highsmith and a Sam Somerville only improved, our side on personnel, and then allowed us to, get a bunch of guys in this building that really understand the game of football, understand how to evaluate talent, to make us better.
A lot of people noticed the decision to keep 5 tight ends. How much of that was just the versatility that you can get with each of those guys bringing something different? And how much did Thomas Odukoya help himself with that one rundown on the kick 6 on Sunday?
I know that was a viral clip, but Thomas O, he earned his spot, before then. I think he's shown up at every turn, this preseason. He's improved drastically since he was brought here and, since my time evaluating him, and how he's grown to be, a really good inline blocker, which is hard to find in this league now. And we feel like, at that tight end position, we got two guys in him and Nick Vanette, as your Ys. And then you got guys that are, C. Wiley is more of a combo guy that can do some Y stuff, do some F stuff. And then you got Chig and DMR that are your, Fs, your athletic kind of move tight end types. And so, those guys earned it. Like Callie and I have said, we weren't saying coming into the situation saying, oh, we're going to have three quarterbacks and we got to sign a third quarterback or have a third quarterback just because we said we want to have three. We wanted to have the best 53. And those five guys were a part of the best 53-man roster we could put together.
Titans GM Ran Carthon on with us. Titans just wrapped up another day of practice, getting ready for week 1 at Chicago. Ran, yesterday the Elijah Molden trade was reported on but not official. Today, or since then, it has been made official. What details can you share with the audience about how that came about and why that was in the best interest of your team?
Well, it was a opportunity for us. The Chargers called and they were interested in Elijah, and Elijah's been around here for a couple years now and has done some good things here. But he was getting passed up, on our roster. And, there was a situation where, we would have kept, Elijah, but the opportunity for us to, add a draft pick, coming into this preseason prior to and some of the moves we've made, we only had 5 draft picks. And so, you need more at-bats to, continue to improve the roster. And if you look at some of the guys that we've added, in rounds 5 through 7 these last 2 years. Last year it was, you get Josh Wiley in 5, Jalen Duncan in 6, and Colton Dowell in 7. And this year you get Jarvis Brownlee in 5, Jaquan Jackson in 6, and Jalen Harrell and James Williams in 7. So we want to make that a staple of our program and how we're going to go about it. So it was an opportunity to add some more of those late round picks, to allow us to continue to improve this roster moving forward.
Well, and certainly you get a late round pick back from Malik Willis, who I know a lot of people who have gotten to know both Elijah and Malik Willis, and a lot of dudes that come through teams as you cover them over multiple years. Just happy to see dudes like that who have worked hard and are good people getting additional opportunities. But for Malik, a promotion, in essence, with getting to be the backup quarterback in Green Bay. From the time that you got here with the evaluations that you had on the roster before you took the job, Ran, and the time that he ultimately goes to Green Bay, how much progress did you see him make at the position?
I think it was night and day. And from the moment I got here, it was a conversation with Malik, between myself and Braves and him, about what the expectation was for him moving forward and, the natural next steps of him growing into becoming an NFL quarterback. And he took all those things serious and worked on them, last offseason. And he had his ups and downs, but he continued to improve. And then this year he comes in and it's a new staff. It's a new way of doing things. And, Bo Hardegree really poured into him. And he took the coaching and he took the opportunities and made the most of them. So he's improved, drastically. Other teams called, on Malik, but this was an opportunity for Malik to be a backup, for him to be the number 2, which I think he's earned the right to be a number 2, instead of holding him here as a 3, we want to do what's right by people while also, doing what's best for our organization. And like I said, to be able to get a pick, and do right by Malik, it was an opportunity we didn't want to pass up.
Lucas will not let you get off the phone, even though you're an incredibly busy person, without asking you apparently a very, very important follow-up question. What do you have for the general manager?
That's tough on me.
That's how this works.
Well, there's just something really important here, Ran, that we've actually had our crack staff on for. Our producer, Jackson, hasn't slept in 48 hours now because we need to nail down the appropriate nickname, catchphrase, whatever you want to call it, for how you've gone about building this roster. Now, last year, we had the phrase Rans Bargans, and it didn't really stick.
Nobody had that. You wouldn't shut up about it. It's a terrible phrase.
It was pretty universal. Anyway, Jackson hasn't slept in a couple of days, and so we've got a few to throw at you here. And if you could just pick one, of all the ones I read to you, rapid fire here, if you could just pick one and we can finally settle this.
Yeah, for my sake, Rand, pick one and end this,
or you can tell us
God.
to go bleep ourselves, and that'd be perfectly acceptable as well.
You wouldn't be the first.
Okay, here we go. We have Rand's Bands, Carthon Cash, Chef Gordon Ramsay, Rand's Ransom, Carthon's Cash Crop, Ranta Claus, and Rand's Grand Slams.
My first thought was to go bleep yourself, but one more time. I'm gonna finally do Buck a favor.
Please.
One more time. Let's go through one more time.
Rand's Bands.
I'll just say no as we go.
Yeah,
that's perfect. Process of elimination. Rand's Bands.
Nope.
Carthon Cash.
Nope.
Chef Gordon Ramsay.
That's pretty funny.
That's pretty good. Yeah, I like that one.
We even got you a hat. I mean, we spent some money on the hat, you know?
Rand's Ransom.
Nah.
Carthon's Cash Crop.
Nope.
Ranta Claus.
Nah. We'll just go with the Chef Gordon Ramsay.
Okay.
That'd be funny.
Okay.
Everywhere
Awesome.
I go, people, this whole let Rand cook moniker is like grown, and it's pretty damn funny. So between people in this building making fun of me because of it, and just being, there's one of our particular fans that sits in the tunnel. I hope he hears this because he knows exactly who he is. Every game that I've been here for, he's let him cook, and so I always know that it's him. And so it's pretty funny. So we'll go with Chef Gordon Ramsay.
Chef Gordon Ramsay. There it is, done and dusted. Ran Carthon, we appreciate your time.
If I get sued, I'm putting this back on the station. So
that's fine. We'll switch it to Rand's Grand Slams if you get sued.
Yeah,
but we'll take it. We'll put it on Buck. It'll come out of Buck's pocket.
Inevitably, I'm going to get pinned for this, so I appreciate that, Rand. Thanks for spending some time with us, buddy.
No problem. Anytime.
That's Ran Carthon, Titans GM, a couple of days after their 53-man roster trimmed down.
Very important work we've done here.
I'm so mad at you. Last call for phone calls. If you've got them, 615-737-1045 is the number. If you are that fan, by the way, that screams, let him cook at Ran Carthon every time he walks out of the tunnel, identify yourself. I'm Buck Reising. It's 1045 The Zone.